Okay, everybody, this is episode 5 of the RS Podcast. And as usual, we're talking to Auntie Gloria up there in Battleground, Washington with Uncle Bill Nahalea. So, the Nahaleas, how you guys doing?
We're doing really good.
Yeah, good, yeah. We're doing all right, yeah.
All right.
Sunny up here.
Yeah, sunny day. Good, good.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting today's
nice.
Saturday. Right on.
Yeah,
Okay.
for real.
Yeah, so, what you guys did today, Uncle, Auntie? What you guys did?
Well, there's farmers markets around now. It's summer, and it's really it's fun to go check out all the different farmers markets and what they've got for fresh picked items.
Yeah.
So we actually yesterday we went to go visit a friend of ours who has opened up an Aloha Acai bowls.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. It was the acai sorbet, and we
Curry.
topped it with granola and fresh fruits like bananas and blueberries and other things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's healthy
And-
stuff.
and- Oh, it's really super healthy. I didn't realize it was a superfood,
Yeah.
and what it does for the brain. Helping with the brain cells for rejuvenating and on and on and on. So we had some yesterday, and
Wow.
all the way home, it kept tasting in our mouth like, oh, we got to have this. This will take the place of like ice cream and
Yeah.
sundaes and all of that. So today, when we were at the farmers market, lo and behold, they had just fresh picked some raspberries, some cherries, these red Bing cherries, and these blueberries. The fresh picked blueberries
Yeah.
did not taste at all
Yeah.
like the frozen ones. I mean, yummy. So after we're done with today, we're going to go out and pick up some of that acai sorbet because you can pick that up now in the stores.
In the store. Yeah.
And we're going to add in the granola. We're going to add in the fresh fruits.
Yeah.
And we're going to grind on that. That's going to be our dessert today.
So, after you eat that, do you find you have like more energy?
Oh, my God, yeah.
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 Yeah, that's
Open
good too.
open
Yeah.
the brain,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So,
it's what they call a superfood. I guess it's the same thing as a salmon is a superfood.
Yeah.
yeah, brain food.
Blueberries
Yeah.
by itself is. Yeah. So
Healing
avocado
properties.
is.
Yeah. Healing properties.
Oh.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
All the
Yes.
good stuff make your brain, make you acclimate.
Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
it's-
Healing, right?
It offsets
I
this
think.
baklava that they also had next door, which I had to pick up some of that. Some sweet dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have your sweets.
Oh,
Treat
yeah.
yourself once in a while. Not like you're doing that all the time.
And okay.
Well, he's on a roll. He's been losing some weight.
Yeah.
That's good.
Um,
That's good.
He's picking up his exercises. He's walking more. He's being more steady on doing his therapeutic therapy. So that's been really good as well.
Well, that's good that you guys keep on doing what you're doing to get better physically, mentally, and all that.
Got to.
You have to, especially when you get older. You gotta think of. You have to think about health when you get older. That's usually the case for
Right.
other people. Yeah,
Yeah. The more movement is better. Yeah. Always moving.
yeah, for
That's good,
Yeah.
Uncle Bill. You sound good. Sounds clear. I mean, it sounds like you
Yeah.
guys, both of you circulating today on a Saturday. That's good.
yeah.
Being
Well,
out there.
going out and doing my therapies, my own personal therapies, it helped me, because and plus we Auntie would get me we involved with this sleep center, and the biggest thing is they were saying that older people, they tend to have issues when they older, hard to sleep, and a lot of them pass away in their sleep.
Yeah, the sleep apnea, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I got this what's it called? The
CPAP.
CPAP. And it's pretty good. In the beginning, I didn't want to do it. I said, I don't want to. I see the commercial on TV. I'll come with them.
Yeah.
But after I went to the sleep therapy, I had to stay overnight and then test me and stuff. And then they came out with this CPAP machine. And so far, I tell you, bro, honestly speaking, I'm 100% behind it because I never used to sleep more than probably 4 hours. The longest I ever slept was about 14 hours one day.
With the CPAP machine, 14 hours?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. You need to sleep.
That's good.
Right? Because
Yeah, so,
sleep is healing too.
I know.
Yeah.
But what I gonna do, I think Angie was more, she happy that I'm able to help her with her activities. She has so many things she got going.
Always.
I don't
Yeah.
know. She wants to tell you what it was. I don't know.
You just tag along, yo.
Yeah, I do.
Right on.
Well, you
That's
know,
good.
Ron, the Bill's work spanned a lot of his achievements were done with media and production.
Mhm.
And one of them was he helped me with a documentary called the Kanaka Project. We're still finishing up the details. We aborted that once we began to go on these canoe journeys. And we've been going on these canoe journeys now probably for the last 15 years. We've been following it. It's been going on since 1989.
Okay.
By a gentleman from Quinault. Do you remember Aggie, them, our friends over there?
Yeah, I remember Aggie, Angela, and some of the other elders that I met. They're like interesting people, really.
Well, the gentleman, his name was Emmett Oliver from the Quinault Indian Nation. He organized this first native canoe journey.
Okay.
And so from that side, so I want to mention because that's the tribe that Angela and Aggie them are part of, right?
Right.
And Oliver, he was a canoe racer in college and a member of the Washington State Centennial Commission Maritime Committee. He saw this journey as a way to kind of preserve indigenous culture and build intertribal understanding and revive the traditional maritime practices that were nearly disappeared due to logging, depletion of the old growth cedar, and assimilation of policies and the rise of motorized transport. And when he did this was really cool because this is powered by the paddlers. And interesting is some of the native tribe calls it pulling the instead of paddling,
Right.
they call it pulling.
Yeah, I remember
the
that.
paddles.
That's interesting.
And then they
Yeah.
have that's very interesting because in certain places like the Lummi up by Bellingham, they call it paddling, and up that way they are closer to, of course, to Hawaii. And they kind of identify themselves more with the Hawaiian way of canoeing.
Really?
Okay, yeah. So
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, isn't it interesting that different tribes? So you just have to be careful of how you use the terminology.
Yeah. Paddle, pulling.
Pulling or paddling, and many times my tribal friends, they're so forgiving. Sometimes I say pulling at the wrong places and paddling at the wrong places, and we all just kind of giggle and laugh, and they still love me anyways and take me in as their family. Today I'm considered an elder, but years ago when I first started, I was blessed because we understood, just like in Hawaii, we understood that in order to do anything, you needed to go to the kupuna and ask for permission for many things. You know, we asked permission. They taught us that we had to ask permission for when we're gathering maile or tea leaves for costuming. They did the same thing when they were looking at the logs to make their own outrigger canoes. They had to ask for permission. So the same value is carried over here in the native tribal folks here. So you always ask for permission to do this and that and so forth and so on. And so we had asked them permission for us to interview them and to go along with the journeys and see exactly what happens. And so that became kind of a passion. So Bill actually, because he was videotaping and for his TV show and also for the radio show that he was producing, it allowed us kind of an entry into the talking to the elders and finding out more about their traditions. They weren't open to having things filmed and recorded back in the day. But today they're finding the value of it all, and it's preserving so many more things. Today, the carving of the canoes, the carving of the masks and their artwork. The paddles are carved, their drums are carved. So there's a lot of that kind of artwork that is kind of coming back out, and new artists coming out from all of this.
Yeah, I remember when you took me to the Connaught that museum. Was it the museum?
Yeah, the museum.
And it was just amazing. It was all by hand. I mean, the natives that they wove, right? A lot of weaving and the carvings and whatnot. It's just awesome stuff. Kind of reminds me of like in Hawaii, like the pride that the artists have in detail. That's what I'm getting at. The detail is just unbelievable.
Unbelievable. We used in the islands, we used the leaves of the lauhala, the pandanus tree, and here they use the cedar, and they take that and they treat it much like what they would do to make tapa or to make fabric, to make whatever that they need to do, particularly their bands and their hats and whatever they needed to live. They had similar skill sets. And
very
so there's
similar.
a real wonderful appreciation for each other and their artwork. They do a lot of beading up here in the native tribes, and those beads were used as currency back in the day. And today, it's just beautiful to have these necklaces that they make and they create, and they give them away at their potlatches and powwows. And Bill and I have got a huge collection of them now, just because of every time we've gone to any of the events, they gift you a beaded necklace. And it's, so you walk around, you've got several beaded necklace walking around, you're kind of feeling pretty much like you're very well loved and respected. So we've never used them for currency. I've just had it as a collection. So I've just kept them.
Yeah, I got a question, Andy. When you first went on your journey with native Indians, the native Indians there, the different tribes and whatnot, because you guys came from Hawaii and you understood culture, were they like more welcoming towards you and Uncle Bill? In other words, because you kind of got their whole vibe, so to speak, and you showed them possibly, hey, I respect your culture because ours is the same.
It is the same. And I think for us in the beginning, and let me back up on that, because they had a number of people interview them, especially with the Native Hawaiian and Indian connections, right? They were very much, media wanted to meet up with them, and they interviewed them, and they did all of this. And when that becomes overdone, and they didn't see where these were being aired or how it was being utilized, they did have in the beginning a kind of a sense of, you're going to take advantage of us or so forth and so on. But that's a lot of it's because of their past history. They've dealt with a lot of historic trauma.
Oh, definitely.
So because of all of that, there is a little bit of a mistrust. What Bill and I did when we started meeting them, because one of the big traditions is you always bring a gift.
Right. And
when you're bringing a gift and you're sharing that, and if you're sincere and very transparent as to why and how you're collecting this information, Bill was very good about making sure that they received the film or whatever photos and pictures we were using. we would make sure that they got them and that they saw how we were using them.
Interesting.
For us being of the islands and the canoe, the connections with the canoe and the waterways, they did receive us a lot better. And as time went on, and we discussed a lot of the same familiar values and skill sets, and there was so many similarities. Their connections with Hawaii, they all love the islands. They've been there. And so they do relate. They do relate to the Pacific Islanders, whether you're from Hawaii, New Zealand, Tahiti, Samoa. They do relate because they do realize that people have had to go on some kind of a water vessel to get from place to place. So there is that mutual respect, that mutual, similarity.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Bill and I, we were very, very fortunate because we were always hanging around and always around them and being with the families, particularly the Kalama family. Mm-hmm. But it's not only them, it was every single tribe. We became friends, and the mutual respect for one another, and always not having to, I think they just got tired of feeling like their ways was never any good, or that it was heathenous or something. You know what I mean? It wasn't very well respected. So I think the fact that we were interested in the artwork, we were interested in their museum, we were interested in their legends. We sat in on sweat lodges and museums and listening and watching and hearing about their regalias, listening to some of their legends that they shared, and seeing how they lived, which was similar to the islands. That camaraderie was always there, Ron. We were always very well received, and we loved them. In fact, there's many places we go, they think of us as being the tribal, and as they want to make sure we sit down, and their youngsters bring us the meals. They're served and brought to the elders. And a couple times I got up to go and get food for Bill and myself, because they invited us to do that. I would get up to do that. The kids would look at me, and then the elders would look and say, "No, you just sit. They'll bring it to you." And sure enough, they did. So
yes, that respect for the elders. Yeah, a lot of respect for the elders. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not the same in other cultures.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Bill and I play music in a lot of the retired homes and facilities for the aging, and many times it's the rooms. It's filled with folks that have been living the rest of their lives in a nursing home.
Right.
And it's sad, whereas in the tribal community, they usually live all the way at home.
Yeah, that's the culture, right?
It's the culture.
Be at home.
You take care of your own, and you treat them. They're not being disrespected, and so it's wonderful to see the honoring of the legacies of these folks. So when this Native Canoe Journeys, Bill and I became, it's part of our summers. The canoe journey that started originally, it was just only 12 tribes that started. And they would just go to each other's, it was just them. And then they started to expand that, and pretty soon they would go from one tribe to another, and then they would camp there at that tribe, and they would practice the potlatch and powwow protocol, where they asked for permission to land, and then usually the host tribe receives them and say, "Yes, you please welcome, come in and have some food, and you can, camp here." And then the next morning they would receive them as well, and also send them away, well rested, and off they go. Then they go to the second or the next tribal destination, and they would do the same thing. They would offload, ask for permission. They would bunk up that night, have some grinds, and next morning they would do the same thing. And then that particular tribe would add on their canoes. So now if you've done 3 of them, you've got like anywhere from 3 to 6 canoes that are now out journeying. And they do this for the next location, the next landing, and the next. So every day there's a new landing. So this journey expanded. So it was like now 2 weeks. And so when they did that, they'd go from tribe to tribe, and they would go through this whole process of asking for permission to land and bunk the night and then gather more canoes, so that by the time the end of the 2-week journey, they have over 100 to 200 canoes that are
Holy
out
smokes.
on the bay.
You serious?
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Wow.
And
That's an armada.
it is, and when you see that, and you're so what's exciting for Bill and I, we've seen it where they just started with just a couple of canoes, and then we followed and gone and seen where they continue adding, and then by the time they get to the host tribe, and there's 100 to 200 canoes, I mean, your eyes are just like, oh my gosh, this is just totally amazing. And once they arrive at the host tribe, then they're all lined up, and each one are asking the host to be able to come on board. They give a shorter version of their journey, but they're basically saying, I'm from Cowlitz tribe, and my tribal folks are this and that and so forth. They give their canoe family history, and that we've traveled a long way to come and honor you folks, and we're asking for permission to land. The host tribe then greets them and says, welcome, come, and you may land here. So at the end of this protocol, this small little protocol ceremonies, the beach is then, it's got all the canoes that's beached on there. And so for visitors or folks who's just coming to enjoy this, they can go from one canoe to another and enjoy the carvings, however way they design their canoes. And so this whole beach is just filled with all of that. I mean, that by itself is just amazing. And there's a lot of volunteers that helps them bring on their dugout canoes. These canoes are made out of trees, so they're extremely heavy. They're very heavy.
How long does it take for them to get the log or get the tree, and then carve it out till its finished product?
Well, when they cut the tree, they have to let it age and dry. Okay, so there's a little bit of that. Right. So I don't know. I think that has to do with the age of the tree and how big it is and all of that.
It varies.
And then it varies. And then when they're carving that, now back in the day they didn't have the modern tools. So back in the day it would probably take several months.
If not longer, maybe, yeah.
Or maybe longer. Yep.
So now do they use like modern tools, Auntie, nowadays?
In some cases they do, but they're really trying to preserve the old way.
The old way, yeah.
Yeah, they're really trying to preserve that. And these dugout canoes are different from the outrigger canoes, because the outrigger ones today are made out of fiberglass.
Yeah.
So that they can glide over the water better. These dugout canoes, they really truly dig them out, and then they put the seats in them for the folks to travel. Some of these dugout canoes are 60 feet long, and like in the outrigger canoes, I believe you have maybe up to 10 or 12 pullers or paddlers. Mm-hmm. Most of them are 6.
Yeah.
I think most of them hold 6 paddlers, and in the dugout canoes, there are 60. The native Indian ones, can hold as many as 30.
Yeah, it's a different
40.
design. Totally different design.
Totally different design. So, and then of course they have the different shapes of their animal that they represent, that are maybe carved into their canoe as well. It's pretty amazing, Ron. I mean, it's the thing that when Bill and I first started going to them, we had no clue how all of this. I mean, I was just amazed because we had always learned that there was some warring factions between the tribes, which there was. But during this 2-week journey, at least in the beginning, it was done out of peace. So even if you had differences and you're fighting over your property line or fishing rights or who's fishing here and there, even though you're having your disagreements, they put all of that aside. So for this 2-week journey, it's grown. So people are very hospitable. They're very gracious to one another. And so many of them have intermarried with each other, right, with the tribes. So today, it's just like one huge, big Ohana reunion. Every time Bill and I go, we'll see people from all the way up from Canada all the way down to California that have either been in one time or another pulled or been in the canoe journeys. Many of them now that Bill and I were friends with are now seniors. So it's the grandchildren that is now pulling the canoes, and it's wonderful to hear them in their own native language. They'll share their family lineage. One in particular is the Kalama family from Nisqually, because we saw them when it was our age group, Kalamas.
Right.
Auntie Zelma and Auntie Zelda and Blanche and Fred, their children were the ones that were, like Bill's and my age, were the first ones that were doing pulling the canoes. And then their children were taking over. And now those it's the grandchildren are now pulling the canoes. And so for them to be able to share in their own Nisqually language, the connections because they bring up John Kalama from Maui as part of their heritage when they're sharing their lineage.
Yeah. Right.
As well as their Nisqually lineage and their connections with the Puyallup and the Cowlitz and the Warm Springs and the Yakima tribes. So it's pretty cool to see that they can do that. I don't know in Hawaii. I know that some lineages through the hula, and I think the lua, martial arts.
Right.
And some of those can carry on their lineages. But I don't know how many of them can actually include the native Indians, whereas they're including the Hawaiians and the Native Indians.
That's interesting. Touching on John Kalama, I got friends here in Maui that actually didn't even hear about him. How amazing is that, right? From Kula, I had to kind of like educate one of my buddies. And he's like, who's that? I go, John Kalama, he's from Kula and he went to the Northwest, right? So I think these kinds of talks is really important for history, and knowing that there's a Hawaiian that went up to cold country, it's no different than somebody here, a kid growing up and going to college on the mainland, when you think about it, or work on the mainland. It's almost the same, kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Anything else you talk about since we're on that subject? If you want, talk about the Kalama family and how everything tied in with you guys, Uncle Bill and your associates when you were doing all these things with the festival and all that, or that's for another day.
Oh no, we can discuss that.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to throw you off track.
Okay, back in the day, when I was
Sorry.
going to University of Washington many years ago, that was my college, and coming to a big city, going to a big college. I knew nothing about the Hawaiians being here, and so my first introduction to all of that was on one of our spring breaks. We were driving down to San Francisco and wanted to go to Tijuana, Mexico. So a group of my classmates and I, we hopped into one of those, and it was one of those Volkswagen vans. We're talking in the 70s.
Flower
so
children.
We're driving.
Flower children.
Yeah. We're in the broad days, getting into all that stuff that was going on back in the day.
Right.
But we're driving through, and we're driving down the I-5, and we see this sign that says something about Kalama. So we pulled over. And what I was curious about was, oh my God, who is this? And so we went to the park where there was a little sign that said something about John Kalama from Kula, and that this town was named for him. So I tucked that in the back of my mind, and then we went on all the way down to San Francisco and San Diego and across to Tijuana. When we were coming back, we pulled in again.
Right.
And we went around town to find out any more. There was nothing about that. So that kind of intrigued me that, when I was going around to the towns asking for who this John Kalama was, they kind of corrected me and said, no, it's Kalama. And the guy's name is Kalama.
Oh, my God. That's funny.
So that's
Kalama.
kind of started our little, conversations. So again, I tucked that in the back of my mind, and coming up here, I started to kind of look around to see what Kalama was all about, right?
Right.
Turned out that the name Kalama is very, very common. It's like saying Smith.
Really?
Or Jones.
Well, in that area, right?
Yeah, so which was okay, no big deal. Then years later, I received a grant to learn more about the Kanaka movement, the migration here, and to look at the history of the Hawaiians coming up here. And so again, it led me to John Kalama, the town, and so that actually intrigued me. So because I was given that grant to do the research, and because there was very little information, part of that is because there was a huge big fire in Seattle. So many of the publications or anything that had anything to do with any records of any sort were destroyed. So literally there was hardly anything of any information. There was a bunch of little tiny articles that was in the library listed by a woman named Cecilia Carpenter. And she lived in Yelm, right in the tribal reservation of Nisqually. And she was Nisqually. And she had written quite a number of books about the Nisqually treaties and their ways, and about the reservations and the people. She was a school teacher, so much of her material landed in a library in Washington, Tacoma, at a Washington Library Museum. So I looked through some of that, didn't find anything, and I was wandering around down there by the Fort Nisqually, Point Defiance, just thinking that maybe they might have some information. And lo and behold, they did have a lot of newspaper articles, and he was the one that suggested that I go down to Nisqually Tribe and meet up with Zelma and Zelda, Blanche, and some of the Kalama families, and that I could be getting more information from them. Right. So what the other interesting part was that when we were at the Fort Nisqually Museum, the main curator had mentioned to me that he had some written material and articles, and he took me into the back office where there was a file folder or file cabinet that had all these little articles about John Kalama. And then he says, oh, by the way, this building that you're standing in, John Kalama helped do the milling. He set up and created the milling apparatus that built this house, this museum.
Wow.
It was the factor's home. The factor is like the supervisor of the fort or the head honcho.
Right.
And so then I started looking around the building. I mean, I had chicken skin because I thought, does the family know this? And he looked at me and says, no, the family doesn't know that.
Wow, that's...
I said, well,
wow.
How come they don't know that? I mean,
yeah, something they should know, right?
They should know this. And so then I went in search. I went down to the Nisqually. I looked up Auntie Zelma and Auntie Zelda, and they met with me, and then that's when we started getting our connection of talking. And the more I talked with them about their background, this had served me for my research that I was doing, for my documentary research. And so I was able to complete that, although it wasn't in King County, it was in Pierce County, which was the next county. It was in Pierce County, and Thurston County was the information that I had of the earliest Hawaiians that came. And that was really fun to be able to recognize that. From there, we went ahead and submitted a Washington State resolution about stating that there was, in fact, a history here, that the Hawaiians did make an impact here in the Northwest, and it led to the descendants of John Kalama that lived here. And that just opened up a whole new can of worms. Washington State legislature honored them at one of the state resolutions. They were all invited when they were given that. And then when we... it was part of our little Kanaka project. And then when a couple of years later we were invited to participate, or at least invite the Kalama family, because I knew them, the city of Kalama had reached out to Bill and I to do a presentation, a 175th year anniversary of John Kalama arriving to the Washington. And so we were invited to do an honoring of the families. That was interesting by itself. So that's how we began our journey with learning more and documenting more and hearing. Bill recorded many of their stories of what they could recall. It was a very colorful. John Kalama himself wasn't as colorful as his son, Peter, because Peter, John was very interesting in that because he was the pioneer, the first one to come up here. Apparently, they say that he had another wife in Hawaii, but when he came up here, he never went back. So there's a couple of stories. They say that he had a brother that did return back to Maui, but John did not. He stayed here. He married a very much younger woman who did not want to get married to him. But he won her hand by bringing lots of barrels he made barrels so that they could carry their salmon and furs and all of that. John was very gifted as well as a farmer. He became a sheep herder as well. Was very handy with his hands. He built that apparatus for milling lumber. So his value of who he was, he became a real important asset. The Native Indians were not happy with that because he was given extra benefits and extra perks that they weren't. And he took away, not that he took them away, but his services were so much more valuable to the forts that
Right.
he was paid handsomely. He was given the opportunity to sleep and live inside the forts where none of the other native tribes could.
He was like King
They were-
Solomon, right?
Yeah,
King Solomon and Nehemiah.
yeah, kind of like that.
Right, right.
So there was a whole lot of stuff, and then when he and Mary Martin got married, they had Peter, and Peter ended up. I'm not quite sure how he ended up there, but he ended up marrying someone from Warm Springs, and had a family there. And then he was kind of a bit of a womanizer, I would say. So
The Hawaiian Indian, man. He was womanizing,
Hawaiian
man.
Indian,
He's like, hey,
spreading
look
the
at me,
aloha.
man. He's walking around, huh?
Exactly.
The chick magnet.
Exactly.
You want a
So-
drink? You want to have a drink, ladies? I'm Peter Kalama. You heard of me. Oh, yeah, that's Peter. Oh, my God. They're melting by the theaters. Let's go for a ride in my canoe.
While he was in Warm Springs, since he was already an educated man and could write, he was writing back to Washington, D.C.
Wow, check
for
that
the
out.
rights of the property that his wife and family had, and he was fighting for those things back
That's
in
awesome.
the day,
That's awesome.
and he was able to. They were able to honor some of his requests and some of the things that he was asking for, and then shortly after that, he met somebody else and married her and had a child with her. And then
He was getting
So
busy.
he was busy. So his
Yeah,
kids have
getting
all
busy.
grown up. His kids all grew up and on and on. Well, his last wife, Alice Jackson, was really, really young.
You talked about that.
And-
I remember that name, Alice Jackson.
Yeah, she
okay.
is the Kalama, today, the Kalama, she's the grandmama.
Right, right.
So she was the mother of Zelma and Zelda, that family. They were
okay.
the youngest family. And that's why they remembered their
Right,
their mom, their dad and their mom. They had a church built across where they lived in Nisqually, down there in Yelm. And it's called Church Kalama.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Did I see that when I was down there? No, I didn't see that.
No, the next time
Okay.
you come, we'll need to show you that one, and we need to show you where there's a ranch Kalama up down by Ariel, Woodland, by the Mount St. Helens.
Okay.
There's a Kalama River. We haven't shown you that either. There's a Kalama River, and all of these is because this is the area was where John had lived.
Wow,
And when he had
interesting.
lived down this way, he was known to be a farmer and a sheep herder and all of that.
Man, he's biblical, yeah? John Kalama was like biblical. He did everything, right? He did every skill almost, right?
He did. He was the go-to. People would come to him for many, many things.
Repairs and all that.
Yeah, I mean that's the reason. That's how he won Mary's hand in marriage, because he brought the furs, and what was given. He only needed to have like 5 or 6 furs. Well, he was giving out 24.
Okay.
The barrels he was only needing to have like 3 or 4 of them. Well, he was giving them a dozen. And by the way, that's how the lomi salmon got to be,
Oh, really?
because the salmon. Well, Hawaii doesn't have salmon.
Right, well, yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
And so the salt that was given was salted the salmon, and they were sent in barrels over to Hawaii.
That's cool.
Yeah. So this whole thing is fun, and I think I just love the richness of the traditional native folks and how they gather their berries and do all the things that they do. They're nomadic. They would go wherever it was when fishing season was going on, that's where they would hang out. At least the Pacific Ocean side of the Indian tribes. They lived
Right.
off of their clams, their oysters, their shrimp, their crab.
Yeah, and a lot of the places you took me, the Indian, the people there, the natives, they control a lot of the um the industries too, right? If I'm not mistaken, like the place you took me with Angela and Angie, the river,
Yeah.
that salmon
The
warehouse,
fishery
the
there.
fishery. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's controlled by them, right? It's not outsiders, right?
No, it's just by them. You know what? I just realized have we been talking for 45 minutes?
According to my timer, yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
We seem to do this, Ron.
That's
We
okay.
get together.
We have a
We
lot
get
of
together.
content. We have tons more content to record. That's awesome.
We do, and I think that the where we're at now is I'm thinking we probably need to kind of wrap this up.
Okay. So
Okay.
so we talked about John Kalama and the canoes. So
But
just,
I did want to kind of mention just kind of this Potlatch Journey Canoe 2026.
Yeah.
The landings, they start in the 19th, which is coming up.
Yeah, it's like
They
eight
start
days.
Sunday.
Yeah. Right.
7/19. They're actually starting. Some of them are actually starting from 7/18. They're coming in from Victoria, Vancouver Island, and they're coming along there down the coast of Vancouver Island to the coast of Washington, on the peninsula side, and also on the east side of Puget Sound from Nooksack, Birch Bay, which is up by Canada, Lummi, and they go to Samish, Swinomish, Coopville. I mean, they go to all of these places. Quinault is starting to head out on the 15th of July,
Wow.
and they'll
Cool.
go to Queets, Holt River, Quileute, Ozette, Macau, Lower Elwha, and then they go all the way. That's along the coast, on the east and the western coast side of
Right.
Washington State, up through the top of the straits of where they're Puget Sound, and then they come down to Puget Sound, all the way down to Nisqually. So their journey from Quinault is starting 7/15. They're going to be on the water for 15 days.
Wow, that's a long
Because
time.
they'll land in Nisqually on the 30th.
Wow. Awesome.
I mean, how cool is that?
That is awesome. They're preserving culture. Oh, it's killer.
Big
Man.
tent. Yeah, big tent culture,
Yeah.
I mean, I was just
So,
when I was coming over, just fast kayaking. We got like the local regattas now. Canoe season,
Yeah.
right? I just wanted to throw that in because it's relative, but yeah, I mean the native Hawaiians and the native tribes up there in the Northwest, a lot in common. A lot. Hunters, gatherers, yeah, in the ocean, everything.
This one, I think the one that's going to land over here in Nisqually, just from looking at all the locations of where they're coming in from up and down Vancouver Island. I'm guessing they're going to have a couple hundred canoes
Wow, that's a
by
lot.
the time they land at Nisqually.
So does like the U.S. Coast Guard get involved with these kinds of things?
Oh yeah.
They do, yeah.
They
Oh, yeah.
build boats and everything, bro.
Okay.
It's big.
There's usually, by the time they get to the protocol, there's usually several 100,000 people
Wow.
that
That
have
is
come
huge.
to this.
That is huge.
And all over the area, the entire reservation, there's just campsites. People, you can just see all the little 2-man to full family camps, tents, and trailers and RVs. Of course, all the hotels. Most of the homes will probably open up their front yards and backyards
Oh, interesting.
to this kind of thing. I mean, it's huge. It's huge.
It's a peaceful event too, right? I mean, it's just the ocean, the water, river, oceans, and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a certain protocol that they do for the canoe. The families that go in the canoe, it is definitely non-drug, non-alcohol.
Good.
In order to participate as a puller or a paddler, none of that can happen. And they have their circles when they get together in the evenings and things like that. The participants, it's big.
They have to do
Not
like
to say that
they
it
have
doesn't
like
happen.
they have like drug tests and all that. I'm just.
Do they have what?
Drug tests or like
I don't know if they have
drug tests or you know.
I don't know if they have that, but I know it's really strict within their own.
Well, that's
families.
good then. I mean, that's good that they promote like you know, safety, I guess, you know, because you don't want somebody like drunk out on the water. You know, anything can happen, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Accidents still do happen.
Yeah, of course, but I mean, you know, when you're straight as opposed to buzzing out, I guess, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
So do the tribes like this is just a question kind of is there like they have to buy insurance to do this festival or what? Like just kind of wondering.
Like I think they all, you know,
get insured
have to do something. But you know, since the beginning, since 1989 that we've been not that I was involved in it then, but since 1989 to now, the tribes have all done very well, Ronald.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the fact that they were allowed to do their gaming from way back when to now,
right?
Their economics have improved greatly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
And because it has improved greatly, the tribes within their own tribes have been able to sponsor and give scholarships and send their kids off to college. Education is big now. So everybody that's a big thing. They do encourage that. Or they're also encouraging them for the trades. They're most of the tribal communities now have their own trade schools, and where they do train them, the folks. But they also have what the other thing that's not so good though is because the casinos have been able to provide them a revenue. A lot of the tribes have a monthly allotment for individual tribal members.
Mm-hmm.
And the unfortunate thing with that, they are learning to teach them how to utilize and manage their money. But for a while there, some of the youngsters, when they started to come of age and got their money, well, they did get themselves in trouble in drugs and, you know, alcohol.
Right.
So they do have a rehab and a way to help them through some of that. But those who have successfully gone through beyond that are now buying their own homes and traveling and living a much, much more quality of life lifestyle.
That's interesting. Yeah, because if you get money coming in and you're just gonna like pee it away, that's, you know, there's no wisdom in that. So it's good that they're teaching the younger ones, I guess, you know, about money and finances and skill sets and what have you. You know, it's something I think we talked about this earlier before. Like that's what they should teach American kids at a very young age. You know, about money. You know, not wait till you're like in freaking college. You know, teach them in kindergarten. You know.
I think the sad part, Ron, to all that is America is not so, like with the tribes, me and Angie are so familiar because they work so hard to take care of their own people, and they even offer them free medical
Wow.
And if they do, they all have it. And if they do well in school, the tribes are willing to send them to college, and the tribe will pay their tuition.
That's
Their
awesome.
grades have to be up there.
That's cool.
And some of the tribal members that we know personally, they are stepping out of the tribal, and they're going to the mainstream and running for office.
Wow.
Like for council.
Yeah.
In Seattle, they're running for office, and they always tell us, you say we're ready, Uncle Bill? I say, yeah, do it. Show the American people what you learn as a tribal member, and show them the way it should be. And some of them said, yeah. And I got a friend who's running for council, and he's tribal.
Awesome.
And will he win? I don't know.
At least he's out there. At least he's out there.
Yeah.
Making a statement, that's good.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
that's good.
one of my mentors, he's a Tulalip tribe. He was a Tulalip tribe elder, but he was a senator. His name was John McCoy, and he was a Washington State senator, and he was huge in supporting getting more education of the tribal history into the schools. And several of the colleges was birthed because he encouraged that. I think the Northwest Indian College is located up in Bellingham, and they have a branch down in I think in the Tacoma area. But it was through Senator John McCoy, his encouragement for some of my works, which I'm feeling kind of guilty. I need to finish them up and complete them.
You will.
But I will.
Yeah.
Because
In time.
he had encouraged me to go ahead and have some of our works submitted into the colleges and some of that. So, in fact, he came down when we had our Lanai Cafe in Olympia, and he was in the office one day, and when he found out that I was running that restaurant, he came in and to talk to me, and oh my gosh, did I not just hear an earful from him. Get it done, finish it up, and so forth. He had seen my interview of the Kalama sisters, one that you saw.
That was an awesome one. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got to finish that work and get that submitted into the colleges, and somehow maybe even the museum at the United States, Washington D.C. Because that one was classic. It was the stories from the descendants.
Right.
So
yeah, it's like not scripted. It's from them.
It was from them.
Yeah, that's the best kind of documentaries or stories where, we talk about working on things, and I gotta wrap this up pretty soon, guys. But when you do something like this, if you can get it from the originators, right? I mean, get the story from the real people and let them speak. Because when I saw the two sisters, it was really like, it was natural. They were just talking about it. It's like when I'm talking to you right now. You know what you did. You know what happened. You and Uncle Bill know what happened. There's no script or anything, But no, that's good. That was a good project that you guys did. And hopefully, you'll finish everything. I know you will. You will.
Well, it started because the folks who helped me and who were working with me in the past on these projects have surfaced up in this last year, and now they really do want to finish up some of this work that we did start. And I'm excited about that, because going back now and reliving it and looking at it, it wouldn't take much to complete.
Well, you got the groundwork, yeah?
Yeah, we've got a lot of groundwork. I do have to take a look at, since Bill has had his stroke, we've had to put a lot of his work away and kind of archive them. And now we can go back and get them out and begin to take a look at some of that. We've had some of our other partners that Bill had collaborated with have it on their computers as well. So it wouldn't take much. I think if I gave it a good dedicated month of just really working, getting it done, it could actually get finished.
I think so.
But you see, we're because we're recycled teenagers and are retired. It's kind of we're kind of enjoying finding these new locations of places to walk and carry on our own physical health goals, and so we've been busy doing that as well. We don't want to have to give up all the, we want to have a good work balance.
That's important, to take care of your health, your physical health, and your mental health, and all that. Especially now, and to just enjoy life, I think, and just take on what you can. Don't overload. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
We're enjoying, and day by day we're getting a little bit more done and completed. So, you'll get done.
Yeah, and you got a good team behind you. You got some people that can do what they got to do. So I think it'll work eventually. Yeah.
Well, and there were the people that I've been working with that started with me on these projects in the beginning. This is the part that's hilarious, Ron. We're all not spring chickens anymore.
Hey, a lot of wisdom.
Two of my editors that I'll be working with, one of them is 83, the other one just made 80. So it's really kind of fun to see how we old people are going to be able to continue moving forward. We take the first 5 minutes of us complaining about what ailments we're all facing, and then we get that behind us, and then we can move on and we can actually become productive.
Yeah. But you know what? If when you get, I'm not going to say if, when you pull this off, I mean, that's going to be a milestone for your age group, and I say that with respect, because you guys aren't done yet. That's what I'm saying. So anyway, guys, I got to wrap this one up. It's over an hour already. So
okay.
You guys want to talk about anything else real quick, like an outro real fast? Any good words just before we go?
I can say one thing.
Yeah, Uncle Bill.
Anybody who loves the culture, especially Hawaiian, just make it happen on your end. As a person, don't be afraid to say your piece and what you feel, and just do it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do it, it'll be a thing of the past, and an idea that you worked on for years will never be if you don't make it happen.
True.
So, hopefully, what Auntie doing with her podcasts and me being there with her, I hope everything will come up, will be happening real soon, and it will. If we have you and our people that work with us, it's all going to be happening. So all I can say is, imoa.
Right on, Uncle Billy. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Ron, for letting us share again.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll do episode 6 soon, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, guys, take care. Love you guys.
Later.
Okay, God bless.
Aloha.
Okay, bye-bye.